Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law. Through this channel I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. If anybody's not aware of this, it's a journey with an estimate of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades, we do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for little as $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In the previous video we looked at 5 scenarios that could potentially happen going forward for MMTLP, and in today's video we're going to be looking at all the key updates, and these are going to be focusing on the current situation where we are now, what you can do, and also going to be doing a summary of a video shared by Smokey. And on this video we saw an interview with an attorney by the name of Roza, who has just started the court proceedings. So we're going to have a look at a summary of what was talked about there. Let's start by having a quick look at what's happening in the market. So headline here, positive news, US inflation slows further to 7.1% in November. So that's great news. We did see a little bit of a rally today in the markets, and for oil we can see oil is extending gains, surging more than 3%. And in other news we can see here there is a person here who has now been charged with defrauding investors, and this person is by the name of Sam Bankman-Fried. And I think everybody in our community will also be looking at 2 market makers, and hopefully we get the same scenario where they are also charged with, hopefully with a similar situation. But let's finish off by sharing with you an interesting meme, and that is welcome to Who Share It Is It Anyway, where the float is made up and the regulators don't matter, and I think that sums up everything quite nicely. So let's have a look at an update with regard to what is happening currently in terms of people's accounts. So shout out here to Adrian, who's just reported that Fidelity is showing a number here, 59134N203 for my MMTLP shares at a price of $2.99. But TD Ameritrade is showing it still as MMTLP. So we've got some confusion here by the brokers, or some inconsistent messages. Another shout out here to Lee C, and he's got a similar message here. In his account he's got a similar number, 591994371 PFD. So check your accounts and see if there is any changes there. And the other update here is with regard to Charles Schwab. So something that we need to check. So if anybody's in Charles Schwab's, let's see if we can get an update in terms of what's stated here. And these said here, Dr. Stonker said Charles Schwab said they will reconcile short positions if needed as instructed from the company and by governing bodies such as FINRA. They have not received instructions yet how they will reconcile short positions. So I'm not sure what's going on here, what Charles Schwab are trying to do, but what John Bird has added on at the bottom is he stated here, last I heard, it's as simple as buy to cover. That's what should have happened but did not happen. Let's now have a look at the current situation in terms of where we are right now. So many people in their accounts are currently seeing a $0 value for MMTLP. So why is this, and should you worry about it? So first of all, you don't need to worry about this. There could be 2 reasons for this $0 value. Some people are still seeing the last closing price. I'm certainly seeing the last closing price, but from the broker's point of view, they could be in a situation where they are expecting this not to be trading again. Going forward, we don't know what's going to happen. Anything is possible, but that's where they may be. The other thing is they may be preparing for this to be moved over into next bridge. So that's one of the reasons they are now changing this, and some brokers are also saying even if there is a decision to allow it to trade, they may not make that decision on their accounts, and I wonder why. So second thing in terms of where we are in the current situation is, I'm sure you're all aware with regard to AST, there are strong rumours, probably true, in fact highly likely to be true, and that is false. So what we have a situation here is synthetic shares, and we're looking at millions of synthetic shares. To fix this problem, both brokers, what they would have to do is to buy back or compensate everybody who purchase shares in good faith. So even if you have synthetic shares, as far as you're concerned, you buy shares in good faith, and if it wasn't for this particular trade, you may never have known. But with AST potentially being full, this is a huge mess now for the brokers. They need to clear it up. They have the liability, they have the responsibility. And the final thing, in terms of a reminder of current situation, shorts have not covered. They continue to short this till the very last day, and for the time being they seem to be the winners in the current situation. But we're going to look at what's happening going forward, and also what you can do yourself. Let's now have a look at the developments with regard to Roza. So shout out here to Uncle Smokey, who managed to live stream on his channel. So go ahead and check that interview out. So what he stated here is Roza is an attorney at Orchard Law and Vice President of Tinseltown, is going to tell you her story. So join me live. So check that out on Smokey's channel. But in terms of what she's did, this is a copy here on the screen of a motion for preliminary injunctive relief. So we're going to talk about the case, but we can see here at the top the plaintiff, Roza Tawil, and the defendant here is FINRA. So great shout out to Roza, and credit to you for bringing this action. So let's have a look at a summary of what was discussed and talked about on the channel in terms of the interview. So first thing here is what Roza stated is that she carried out this court action as an individual retail investor. So she is not representing the company, and she is not an insider and not connected to the company. So that's the first thing to be aware of. Number two, what she clarified is that all shares you buy are sold in good faith. Request is for the retail to be allowed to complete 2 days of trading and for shorts to close their positions. So that's what it was. It's based on number three. The filing is based on antitrust trade, and a relevant judge with experience and knowledge should be appointed. So we haven't really, as far as I know, there is no date, but there is the submission of the paperwork, and we await a date and confirmation for this to happen. And finally, number four, what was also discussed is many people are asking the question is, why have the company not done this, and why are we seeing an individual investor doing this court action? So as far as I'm aware, there is lots and lots of negotiations, and the legal team is on this, and it certainly seems to be the case that they are not able to comment. But let's have a look at the situation in the interview. So what Roza clarified here is that shareholders have different rights to owners. So if we look at John Bird and George Palikaros, they are regarded as issuers of the shares, and they are more limited in terms of what they can say, because obviously they have inside knowledge, they could compromise themselves, whereas Roza is an individual investor. She's regarded as a retail investor, and as a retail investor she's also the owner potentially of NextBridge once it becomes private. Next thing I want to do is focus on what you can do as an individual retail investor. So the first thing is you can contact your broker and update them with regard to what your position is. So I'm going to be sharing with you here a sample letter. This was shared in the Discord, so I will try to make this available on Twitter. So if anybody wants to get a copy of the wording of this letter here, I'm not going to go through the whole letter, but this is a sample that you can edit, customize, and also send to your broker to identify what your position is. So let's go back to what else you can do. The other thing I would recommend everybody to do is take screenshots of your sell limit orders and screen record and save all the chats with your brokers. This could be very interesting and positive for you in the future if there is any litigation, and if your broker denies that you had these sell limit orders. So collect as much evidence as you can. If you haven't got screenshots, go into the chat, save the chat, and confirm with them in your history that they removed your sell limit orders. Number three, I'm sure you're aware there's a huge campaign right now to complain to FINRA with regard to the situation. You can check that link on Twitter. I've also shared another link that you can complain to your local senator, so that's only going to be for people in the United States. We've seen the Change campaign and many other online campaigns, so we we can certainly keep this pressure on. So shout out to John Berder, who also appeared in Fox Business News. We had a look at that yesterday, so great exposure there. There was another interview today with John Berder as well, so momentum is certainly growing. Number 4, the other thing you can do is be prepared to get a call from your broker. So this is giving a shout out to Tony from Market Moves, and the reason why you may not hear about this is because, first of all, when they call you, they will offer to buy your shares. And obviously when they offer to buy your shares, they're going to do on subject to an NDA. So that means you will not be able to talk about it. You will not be able to confirm or deny or talk about any agreement you made with your broker. So it is likely they might say, well, you know, you're not getting anything at the moment. Here's $3 for your shares. Do you want the money or not? So you can obviously politely refuse, and then you name your price. And once they accept your price and name your price, you cannot talk about that. So if you want, you can go onto Twitter and say, what a wonderful day it is today, and you might get away with that. But number 5, educate yourself about what is going on. Be aware, understand, read everything, and carry out due diligence. And the final thing I'd like to do is give a shout out to Gray. He's just posted a very interesting theory in terms of how this situation with Bridge Hydrocarbons could close out. So go ahead and check that out. And it certainly is an interesting theory. And the final thing I'd like to finish off by is giving a shout out here to Andrew. And John has added onto his thread. And Andrew pointed out here is for everybody who talked about shorts covering, what actually happened is, according to the data he's got shared here, 9.5 million shares were shorted on the last day that this traded, and that is staggering. So let's repeat that, 9.5 million. Very interesting. Hashtag FINRA fraud. And John Bird has also added on here and saying, do you think they wanted the shares lower prior to the halt? Who knew? And who was communicating with FINRA? So not a great situation. And finally, if you'd like to discuss what's happening with MMTLP live in our trading discussions, which we take part in every day, as well as other stocks, certainly consider joining us in the Discord. Details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.